Good day to everyone. Good day, and thank you for joining us here at the Truth to Freedom podcast, where real talk for real people. My name is James Parker, and I'm also joined by my co-host, Mr. William Quinton. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
All right, my friend. Everything is well, and we have a special guest with us again. Well, he's not a guest because he was on an episode prior to our dear friend and companion there, Mr. Jamon Carter. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. How you gentlemen doing?
All's
Doing well.
well, sir. All's well. So, before we get started, we ask our audience there if you can please like, share, leave a review because it helps also people just like you find this podcast, and it will help us get us out there in the algorithms and everything, and move us up the ladder so that people will recognize us. So we appreciate it if you do that, and also if you would leave if you have a question or comment, you can email us at truthtofreedom@gmail.com. I believe that's it. If I didn't mess it up yet, I'll double check before it's over with. But anyway, you can email us and leave a review, a question, concern, whatever you might have, and we will respond to you. So I think we're going to get on the bandwagon with everybody else because yesterday was the uh, debate between Trump and Biden that everybody's been anticipating, and it's been ever since the debate. It's been on the news. Everybody's been talking about it, and so I guess we're going to chime in as well. But leading into that, I want to ask you, brothers, something because we had talked about this before, and I tried to get the recording. I wanted to show it so everybody else can have it. If I ever find it again, I'll play it. But anyway, it was talking to some people, women in particular, in Georgia, and so the one lady, she was very adamant about how she's not happy with the Republican Party. And that's why she was voting Democrat. But over the years, she has now come disenfranchised with the Democratic Party. She still ain't happy with the Republican Party, but that's who she's going to give her vote to. Now we've had this conversation before, and and it doesn't make any sense. Why would you waste your vote if you're not happy with this person and you're not happy with this person? Then why we're not putting people in that we're happy with? Because you're just wasting your vote. And what she said, I wish, like I said, I wish I had it because what she said, it made absolutely no sense because that means you're just gonna put you just training one bad person for another bad person. That's all you're doing. Nothing's gonna get solved. And you figure by now, after all these years, um, people would get it that you know what, we really need to get somebody in office that's going to really make a difference. But anyway, Quentin, how do you feel about it?
Well, I agree with you that it doesn't make sense. Like we talked about last episode, I believe in voting your conscience anyway. I get that it's a two-party system and two major parties, and they get, you know, most of the votes. So a lot of people feel like voting outside of the two major parties is throwing their vote away, especially if, say, like they don't like Biden, so they're gonna vote for Trump because lesser of two evils, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or and vice versa. But I mean, I disagree. I feel like you should be able to vote your conscience. And she's not the only person that feels like that. I guarantee it. I believe there's a lot of people that feel like that. Now, if all these people actually got together and said, you know what, we're just not going to participate. We're not going to vote for either one of them. We're going to take our vote somewhere. If a person of the third party get a significant amount of votes, they have to pay attention to them. They have to.
I agree. I agree. I mean, like I said, it doesn't make sense to me. What about you, Mr. Jamon? What you feel about it?
Well, the reality of the situation is this. Um, Republicans stick together. Is no way that a third party could win because Republicans are going to stick together. And you may have a small percentage of them who don't know what they want to do, or they weren't happy with this, that, or the other. But you have a lot of people that are going to vote Republican no matter what. No matter what happens, they're voting Republican. And the only way to beat that, that's one of those situations where you have to fight fire with fire. You have to play by the same rules they play by. And one of the things about being, they consider Republicans conservative and Democrats liberal. Conservatives, the word conservatives mean conserve to stay, so it stays the same to keep things like they were the old ways. And liberal means like lightly or sparing. Like it's not really a set rule. The thing about being a liberal is you want to be represented so much that if something that you don't like isn't in your path, then you want to veer off because it's not exactly what I want. But Republicans don't do that. They take something, as long as they get a little piece of what they want, they're willing to throw everything out to stick together. And that's something that, unfortunately, having a two-party system, it promotes that. But at the same time, if there were 10 parties, you always going to have one that's going to stick together and they're going to have the most votes. It's always going to come down to who has the most votes, and the people that stick together have the most votes. Period. If they agree or if they disagree, as long as they hit that button together, they're going to win every time.
Yeah, you bring up a good point because, because I mean we're watching this play out. Despite all the mayhem and chaos that the Republican Party is having, they're sticking together. And I mean, they've even said it on TV that um, in one aspect when they're running, oh yeah, Trump is this, Trump is that, he's a fool, he's whatever, whatever. But then when you are not in the running, oh yeah, I'm voting for Trump. I stand behind him 100%. How you gonna stand? You just told us here when you was running that he was a mess and that you think that you can do a better job. But you didn't get the selection, and now all of a sudden, yeah, I stand behind Trump 100%. I believe in his policies and whatever, whatever. I mean, these people are either crazy or they're stupid. One of the two, because it doesn't make that just is not that's just not feasible. And the thing is about this two-party system that we have, you figure by now, because it's 2024, somebody should know by now that you know what, we need to just do away with all these parties. And like you were saying, Quentin, it should be based on your conscience. It should be do away with the electoral vote. It should just be straight vote, your one vote, one count, all across America, and whoever want to run, run. And now you pick whoever you think that's the best qualified for the position, because even to run, you have to make a certain amount of money in your campaign to even qualify to run. Well, I thought the whole purpose of running for office was because it was the common man that's going to represent the people. I said now it's the rich that's representing the people because the average person ain't going to raise that kind of money to qualify to run. It doesn't make any sense. So when are we going to change? It's by now they should realize they need to change it,
Yeah.
but they want to keep everything. Um, I guess quote whatever the word is. They want to keep it, and I guess keep it in chaos because all we're doing is just going around in a circle like a hamster. That's all we're doing.
Yeah. Now I agree with both of y'all about the Republicans stick together. It's party loyalty to a T. But we also got to remember that no Republican candidate has won the popular vote in a very long time. They always win by electoral college, and the same thing was with Trump. Um, they always say if you look at the population, the people that actually supported him were very slim. And during I believe it was it was the first one. It was Hillary and Trump. They said something like 48% of the country didn't vote. So the numbers aren't 100% correct. It's just people that participated.
Yeah, yeah. Well, leading up to this presidential debate, and I'm sure y'all got a lot to say. I wrote some stuff down. Um, I'll just give my overview because it was sad. I'm sorry. It was sad. These two men are running to represent the United States of America. one of supposedly the strongest country in the world and the best economy and all. These two men are up here on TV like they in some schoolyard going back and forth with one another, bringing up this stuff. And I'm wondering if the Republicans had something to do with this because they weren't allowed to bring in no papers. They weren't able to have no notes and nothing. They just couldn't talk to nobody. There was no audience. Um, and then, and on both sides, Trump and Biden was spewing out stuff that wasn't true. Um, Trump in particular. I mean, a lot of stuff Trump said, I, I guess he's used to doing it. He can tell you a lie and never miss a beat. And I guess he believes it's true, so he makes it sound like it's true. But how do you have a debate and you can't question or have uh documentation to back up what you're saying or to prove that the other person is not correct in what their statement is? I just don't understand that because there was a lot of stuff that they should have called both of them on really. That they said, well, okay, you said that the economy was wasn't doing good when I took it over. It tanked and all that, and then I think Trump had said something about was it the inflation? I think he said something about the inflation was at zero or something was at zero while he was running, and then when Biden took over, it went through the roof. I don't think we've ever had a time where the inflation was at zero. The numbers might have been low, but I don't think we ever had a time where there was no inflation. Really? But this is what he said was going on during his economy. I just think, personally, I just think it was bad overall, both of them, because you're telling me this is what we have to choose from. These two people right here is what we have to choose from to run the free world of the United States of America. If this is who we have to choose from, we're the laughing stock of the whole free world. I know these people sat back in their countries and whatever and looked at this debate and said, they just started laughing. Because what could you say? This is sad. We'll wait for one of these fools to get in and then we'll just take over everything because that's what's going to end up happening. That's my thoughts. What about you there, Mr. Quentin?
I agree. I think that we are a laughing stock. Uh, Trump tried to pin a lot of that on Biden by saying, the world, we look weak in the eyes of the world. But in reality, when Trump got elected, a lot of the leaders of the other countries, they started backing away from the U.S. I mean, nobody believes in him except his supporters. Like he has a lot of failed businesses. He's been documented from sticking people with bills, not paying them. How you fighting for the everyday working man and you're not even paying blue collar workers?
Yeah. Yeah.
My overall takeaway from it, I mean, I didn't get to watch all of it. I had to work today. I got off. Watch as much as I could, taking notes at the same time, so I paused it a lot. But 20 minutes in, and it was so much xenophobia coming from Trump, projection, and just like unverifiable facts. It was ridiculous. I mean, we could talk about Joe Biden not being able to speak or talk or anything, but I just can't get past the xenophobia. He kept blaming issues on the border.
He did, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, because he kept emphasizing the uh killers and murderers and people from insane asylums and whatever are coming over the border and they're killing and causing mayhem. He make it seem like we're in some Mad Max movie or something. These
Yeah,
people are coming over and doing all this. I mean, it's not as bad as he thinks or as he's making it seem. Is it bad? Yeah, I mean, it could be better, but not as bad as he made it seem.
it's classic. It's classic Republican fear mongering, and that's all they've known to do. That
Wow. What about you, Mr. Jamal?
Excuse me. I'm gonna tell you the truth about it. How I feel. I was disappointed in it. Um, there's a website, PolitiFact, that goes through and it fact checks various things, and it fact checked everything that was said last night. And the majority of what Biden said was true. The majority of what Trump said was false. But Biden couldn't finish his sentences. He was out of breath. He was stuttering. He would freeze. It was stuff like that. He would misspeak sometimes and say, we're doing $1 million. I mean, $1 billion, $1 trillion. And it's like it
Yeah.
makes him look weak. And one of the sad things is about, and it's just perception. It's natural. Animals do it all the way up to us. We do it. Um, Sometimes the biggest, the loudest, they come off as being the ones that are right.
Mhm.
And back in the day, this is in high school in the band. I remember they used to say, I had a band director that would say, "Y'all play it strong and be wrong and strong. At least we know that you're trying, you're making an effort." And last night, I kept thinking about that because Biden appeared so weak. Even if he's right, like the appearance of him being weak
Mhm.
to some people was enough to turn off of that. At the end of the debate, I watched like a panel discuss something, and it was on CNN, I believe, and which is left leading or left leaning station, and all of the people up there were saying that Biden looked weak, and that is the best coverage he gets, the most positive influence that Biden has to CNN, and all the people on CNN were saying that he looked weak last night, and I can't disagree. Unfortunately, he was right. The stuff he was saying was right. He was running out of times, like he couldn't gather his thought. It made him look old, made him look weak. And they're only like 3 years difference. But
Yeah.
that's my overall.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's 80, 81, I think. Yeah, he's 81. Um, I've seen some 81-year-olds. Shoot, I've seen some 86-year-olds, uh, better shape, coherent. They took care of themselves, and you
Yeah.
don't even realize they're in their 80s. He's in a stressful job. Ain't no telling what these last 4 years have took a toll on him, just being president, and then the thing going on with his son, um, his other son dying. Um, I think it just took a toll on him. But you're right. People are perceptions. He just, like you say, he just looked weak, flustered, uh, not coherent, not really sure what he's saying and everything. And then, like you said, Trump was over there just blurting out stuff, which, like you said, makes him look strong and Biden weak. And like you said, in a lot of the after interviews, a lot of the different news, and this is funny now. So if you watch the different news outlets when they do the little after thing of after previews, post debate, the stations that are for Biden, they, you know, trying to make him look good. The
Hmm.
stations that are not for Biden and then for Trump, I mean, they made Biden look like he was ready for the crazy house. Like they need to take him, put him in the old folks' home. They just talk so bad about him, and I, I really blame CNN on some of this because they don't want to set this up. It should have been a little more structured, and they should have had information to back up their question. Like when they asked the question, they should have said, okay, when they talked about the economy, uh, Mr. Trump, when you were in office, the economy was at such and such, 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 such. And then when Biden took it on, it was this. What? How do you explain that? How do you explain that it was better during Biden than it was with yours? Because we have statements from you saying that the economy was doing better, but the numbers that we have here show different. Um, how do you explain that? That's how it should have went.
Well, see, that goes back to my point too. CNN is like a liberal station. So being liberal, and I hate to be like this, but liberals are generally kind of soft about stuff. So it's like they were giving Trump a chance to be honest. Even though he's burnt them a million times before, they were still giving him a chance to say the wrong thing or say the right thing without asking him. Because, last night I remember one question and they asked him, like, I don't remember the question offhand, but it was like, what do you think about Pepsi Cola, Mr. Trump? And he was like, well, I have a red trash can and I put it in my Cadillac and I put it in the garage and the sky is blue. And I say, Mr. Trump, you got 1 minute, please, remaining. Can you answer the question about the Pepsi? Oh, yeah, about Pepsi. I want to say this. When I bought gas for my car and my cell phone rang, I knew the TV. They said, Mr. Trump, yes or no, whatever, whatever. And he was like, I really, I mean, I want to say, yeah, I don't know, yes or no, maybe, but long as the spoons are in the drawer, then the crock pot is going to turn on when you plug it in. And he never answered the question, but he was loud and he just was so confident and loud. I bet you none of his supporters even paid attention and he didn't answer it. But the fact was that CNN kept giving him a chance. Answer it again. Then it said, Joe Biden, can you answer the question? He's like, well, if I do like Pepsi and Pepsi, they're like, thank you, sir. And that was the end of his time. Like he stuttered his time away. They gave Trump 3 times as much time to get it right, and he never even answered the question. So I was like, if they're not answering the question, they shouldn't be allowed to talk.
Mhm. I'm with you. Yeah, like I said, I think it was just bad all the way around, from the way it was set up and designed to how they were. Because my thing is, and y'all can chime in. I just for these two people to be running for the highest office in America, I would just expect a little more dignity and respect out of each of them. They went back and forth about some crazy stuff, and I know Biden. He's probably so frustrated with Trump that he don't know what to do. If he could, he probably just would have walked over there and just slugged him right in the head. Um, but that's not what we do. Um, I don't know. And in talking, matter of fact, I'm glad you said that about the question. Um, I really wanted him to answer that question about childcare because that was a legit question, and he laid out the numbers about childcare and the cost of childcare, and he asked straight up, "What are you going to do about it?" He went off. He never even came back to the question. He went off and said, "Well, let me say this about this." He went back to something they talked about 2, 3 minutes ago.
About the border or
Yeah,
immigrants or something like that. Yep.
something he went back to try to prove a point. And I was really waiting to hear what he was going to say about childcare because childcare is out the roof. And I think they also mentioned something about housing and
Yep.
rent. And he never, never. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, that would have been a good question for you to answer to at least let you have some credibility. But he never went back because he didn't have an answer. That's how I
Right.
looked at it. He never had an answer. What you say, Quinn?
I agree he didn't have an answer. But they don't, they're not really concerned with babies. When they were forcing women, or not forcing, they were restricting abortion at the same time when there were no baby food. So you want women to have babies, but you won't feed them.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing with the school lunches. They were taking, it's like, I don't understand. Like, why is this even an argument? We pride ourselves, we talk so big about education, but you don't want to feed the students. Like, if people can't see the blatant hypocrisy and contradiction in that, I don't know what to tell them. Like, that shouldn't even be a conversation. When we talk about children, there is no legislation, politics aside. These are kids. They
Exactly.
get whatever they need.
I agree
Speaking
with
on the
you.
kids,
Yes.
one thing they mentioned last night, and you touched on it when they were talking about abortion, and Biden was like giving you what the bill said, like exactly what's in the bill. And Trump was standing there saying, no, you want to kill babies after they're born. He lets them kill babies after they're born. And everybody's like, it has no facts or nothing. He's just saying what he wants to say. And his folks is probably sitting at home. That's right. He kills babies after they're born, and they're gonna vote for him. And that's why it's so hard to have a third party because and it actually works in Biden's favor. They say that no one was swayed last night by the debate,
Mhm.
which means at least people know that the Trump voters are the Trump voters. They're not gonna vote for anybody else. People saying if they lock him up and threw him in prison, they're gonna write him in. Like they are locked in. That's all they want. That's who they want. But nobody from Biden was swayed enough to really leave Biden, and that's the positive about it. I don't expect Trump voters to not vote for Trump. I don't care what happens, but I'm worried about Biden voters leaving. And they said not too many people were swayed. I got to see the numbers next week or something, but that's a positive. It's a negative too,
Yeah.
because it doesn't mean they weren't listening.
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to. What you? I wrote some notes about the abortion you were talking about. So they asked him about the abortion the pill or whatever. I think it was either birth control or like Plan B or something. But
Mhm.
he said he won't ban the pill. He calls the Dems radical because they take life of the child in the 8th, 9 month of pregnancy, even after birth. And he kept citing the governor of Virginia, the former governor of Virginia. He kept saying the former governor of Virginia said women get to choose, and we could put the baby to the side and come back to it later. Trump said that means they're gonna kill him. That's what he kept saying. So I'm just adding to what you were saying about it.
So PolitiFact checked that. And so it said Trump said the problem is Democrats they're radical because they would take the life of the child in its 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. And it says false. Willingly termination of a newborn's life is emphasized and is legal in every U.S. state. And then it said that about Roe versus Wade because he was saying Roe versus Wade supported it, and
Mhm.
then he said that it says that less than 1% of abortions occur after 21 weeks. So where did the 9 months and kill like and we know it's no facts to support it. We know it. His constituents just believe whatever he says. They might have this in front of them, and they're going to say they're lying.
It's a
He's
liberal
telling me the truth.
conspiracy.
Yeah, I, I know somebody and their nephew's aunt. I remember she had a baby, and they killed the baby. It was 1 year old, and they said it was a 1 year old abortion or something. Like, yeah, no
Everything
matter.
is a liberal conspiracy. Sorry.
No, that's what they say. Everything. Y'all know some of them. Y'all know some of
Yeah.
them folks. I ain't gonna name no names, but everything is he can do no wrong.
It's crazy. And he wouldn't even take responsibility for the January 6th uh raid on the Capitol.
That's the one. That's the one. When I was giving that example earlier,
Hmm.
they asked him if he lost the election, would he peacefully admit that he lost? And that's the one where he wouldn't answer. And he kept rambling on about everything else. And they said, yes or no, will you peacefully, the third time, will you peacefully, whatever? And he was like, if it's a fair election, or, I didn't have nothing to do with Nancy Pelosi said it's my fault. It's her fault. It had nothing to do with me. And all he wanted was a yes or no.
Yeah.
That's all he had to do was yes or no. And I was like, that he wouldn't admit to nothing. I'm like, and he just kept going on and on. And they asked him, like you said, they asked him a question, and he said, "Well, let me go back to this." And then he went all the way back to the Mars. They had, look, we're not going to Mars. We're trying to go to, we got to go to Jupiter. No, no, Mars, and then the sun, and then it was like really painful to watch because it's like, really, this is what we got left. One of these two people are going to be the president of the United States. Then what? What do we do then?
So
What we gonna do?
sorry.
No,
I,
go
s-
ahead.
I saw an article this morning. I didn't open it because it was still early and I was trying to, still working. But and said the Dems are secretly trying to find somebody to replace Biden. And I want to go back to what Jamon said when you said the liberals, quote unquote, are weak. That's how they're viewed, right?
Mhm.
That was one thing that upset me about Obama, because he kept saying when they go low, we go high. Now I ain't saying you cheat, you play dirty like they do, but you can't play by the rules with people who don't believe in them. You gonna lose
Yep.
every time. So they don't have morals. They don't have a conscience. You can't do that. They would if Joe Biden was on Fox News, if Fox News set that debate up, they would have ate that man alive. They would have not did him like CNN did Trump.
Mhm. You're right.
Yep. They would
Yeah,
have probably gave him
exactly that.
less time, turn his mic off by mistake,
All
all the
kind of
dirty
things.
tricks.
And then
Yeah,
the other thing Biden has going against him too, because they kept mentioning this morning when I was watching some of the post shows. Um, they try to tag him being inefficient and then saying that he don't have no vice president. So nobody likes Kamala Harris. Um, she's not bold or she's not this. I'm thinking to myself, heck, I ain't seen that much of her to even make a opinion that you can even say. I mean, you think about the other vice presidents that over the years that you have seen. I ain't seen that much of her, unless she's going somewhere like doing a special visit or something. And you might catch a glimpse of her. Other than that, I almost forgot 1 minute she was the vice president because you don't see her. So how is she? How all of a sudden? And people talking about, well, Biden, he's 80 something. He might go any day. He become president and he keels over. I don't want Kamala Harris as president. She's not going to be. How do you know?
I
yeah.
have probably seen her since the election, since inauguration. I'm gonna say 10 times.
I was gonna say the same thing.
And and Biden himself, we knew him because him and Obama all the time, walking around with the matching suits and the aviator sunglasses and all that stuff. For 8 years, we saw them together. Like they would show pictures where they all out doing stuff together and all that. I don't know where she is.
Ain't never seen her. Don't hear about nothing. She's back in, or I don't know. I ain't saying she's not doing anything, but I'm just saying I ain't seen her enough to draw no opinion. These people talking about they wouldn't want her as president, and I think that's the whole problem. They're thinking, okay, well, if we elect Biden and Biden doesn't make it through his 4 years, then that means Kamala Harris will be sworn in as president, and then now you got issues not only with a woman, a black woman being president. That's what makes me think that's why all of a sudden this is an issue. Because other than that, you don't know nothing about her. Hell, we didn't know nothing about uh what was Trump's vice president? Pence?
Pence.
Yeah, Pence. We didn't know nothing about him.
Hence,
And they was talking about trying to make him president. I mean, so it's like I don't get it. It's like, why does everybody just not like you said? Why don't you deal with people on their character and what they are and who they are, and stop just assuming because they're attached to this party or they whatever that they're going to do this and that. I just don't get that. So we're not going to support Biden because it's a possibility if Biden kills over, Kamala Harris will be president. I don't want that. So we just gonna put everybody to the side and go do something else. I don't know. What do you think?
He kind of turned Trump. Biden brought up a fact when they were talking about Trump and the January 6th, and Biden brought up how Trump was telling um had turned on Pence,
Mm-hmm.
and Pence was doing, and they never mentioned. He never took up for him. Trump never mentioned him. And there's something right now. He's never even mentioned a running mate.
yeah, that's true.
Um, so I don't know the way he turned on Pence. It was crazy because he was like blaming Pence for the stuff that was going on. When it was happening, he was blaming Pence.
Yeah,
Pence
but
was scared for his life as well.
that's what I'm saying. He basically told Pence because he was the head of the thing to overturn
Hmm.
the election. Basically, that's what he told him. He said, "You need to overturn this decision." I mean, did he really think that he had that kind of clout that this man's going to jeopardize his whole career to overturn an election that obviously you did not win? You didn't win it. The numbers showed you
Yeah.
didn't win it, and you wanted this man to use his office and authority to overturn the election to make you president again. And people just they don't see it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, this is what we stuck with. And when you look at the real picture of everything, we have so much that we need to deal with and do something about. Um, from housing, and I thought about that because I'm like, there needs to be a regulation on housing. There's no way that somebody should be paying $1,300 a month for a 1 bedroom. I'm sorry. How in the world are you going to expect America to thrive and grow and do this when you can't even get the basic? $1,300 a month. That's on the low end. I've heard some other prices. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. So it costs more to live into an apartment than if you just bought a house. But some people can't qualify to buy a house. That's
Well,
why they
that's
apartment.
changed.
So
That's
it's cheap.
changed this year. It's
What's that?
cheaper to live in an apartment this year than it is to live in a house.
It is.
This year, something happened with the with those corporations buying up all those houses and raising the prices. They
Yeah.
said this is like the first year in history that it's cheaper to live in an apartment.
Wow.
You
So
should check
now,
the value in your house, and you'll probably be shocked on what your house is worth right now.
well, I know the last time they sent that tax, whatever, I looked at it and I looked at my wife, Melissa. I was like, that can't be right. It can't be right.
Yeah,
It's almost triple. And I'm like, that can't be right. But it must be right because the taxes went right over along with it. So it got to be right. But I'm like, that's crazy. There ain't no way no house should have went up in value that quick, like that. But and that's another thing. I want to hear. This is what I want to hear. This is James talking. I want to hear how we gonna fix welfare. And when I say fix welfare, I mean what are we gonna teach our people how to survive in order to just survive it? Because we've had multiple generations of families living off of welfare, and because they seen their mother live off welfare. They seen their grandmother live off welfare. They think this is what you're supposed to do. And so I don't aspire to do nothing else but to live off of welfare. And I'm comfortable with it. And I had no problem with it. And as long as these people keep me in that situation, that's why I'm going to vote for them. Why are we not teaching these people that, one, you can do better, you can be successful, you just need some skills. So why we don't have a program where we bring these people in, evaluate them, assess their skill. If we need to send them back to school, send them back to school. But when we get done with them, they'll be self-sufficient, able to support themselves and take care of their kids or whatever, and move on. Why are we still paying tax dollars to support people for years and years and years that are not trying to do better? I
mm.
think we should have a program that helps you become an efficient member of society, that you can take care of yourself, that feel that you have pride, that you can go out here and know that if I need to buy something, I can buy it. Or if I need to do this, I can do that. And I did it and I earned it. I did it, I made it happen. I'm supporting myself and put pride back in people. I don't never hear nobody talk about that. All I hear is nonsense. I'm sorry. What you think?
I think the people that do talk about funding programs like that get pushed out. We talk about building society from the bottom up and not the top down. Uh, Bernie was one that if he was allowed to, he would have did it, and Elizabeth Warren also. If they were allowed to implement the policies that they wanted to, that's what would have happened. But we don't fund programs like that. Um, and quite honestly, I have to ask the question because of the history of America is do we not fund those things because majority of the country is brown now? Because once upon a time, you know, kids were off limits. You did what you needed to do for children, and now all of a sudden they're defunding, just like the whole thing in Texas. They're defunding the public schools to put them in the vouchers. Well, those people they can't afford those vouchers. Their kids aren't going to go to good schools. So I mean,
Well, and you hit it on the head. So talking about children, if education is so important and the children are our future, teach them well and help them lead the way, like the song says, you know, if children are important, then why are they not a priority? And why do we do everything against them to where they don't have a choice or a chance to do anything? Just like you said about the lunch program, feeding the kid. I don't understand why kids can't come to school, get a breakfast, get a lunch, and the school we pay tax dollars. Heck, now we got the education lottery. We got the online betting now. They talking about building a casino here now in North Carolina that ain't on an Indian reservation. So we talking about all this revenue that's coming into the state of North Carolina. And yet with the 38th, 39th lowest uh pay wage for teachers, um teachers are leaving here in groves because they can't take it anymore. I don't blame them. If I don't went to school and got all these degrees and all this, and you only paying me $40,000 a year, and I could take my same degree and go 2 states over and get $90,000 a year and less headaches and less hassles, I'm moving.
yeah,
I don't blame them. We should be feeding our kids. That should be a problem. Every school, and I'll say this again, every school should be set up the same. I don't care where you go. If it's a county, a city school, every school should offer the same programs because all kids are not learning the same on the same level. Ain't saying that kids are slow or whatever, but some kids learn faster than others. But you have programs and classes in every school that accommodates the masses that we have, that every kid has a chance to learn the same thing, have access to the same programs, set access to the same trade programs. Every school, no matter where I go in North Carolina, should have the same program, but they don't. And so now I got to take my kid all the way across the county to get a decent education, not a good education, just a decent education. I don't get it.
yeah,
Well, I think a lot of times, even earlier we was talking about with voting, school districts and gerrymandering, kind of put kids in certain places. Um, so the tax dollars for city taxes, I know go to city schools, county taxes go to county schools. So you get a lot of places with low resources, like where I'm from. Those schools gonna have lower resources because they have less money in the area coming in. One of the things I remember when I was still in Raleigh, it had to be around 2018. CSX was going to try to build a hub in Four Oaks, which is a poor area.
Mhm.
They turned it down. They didn't want it. But that could have brought a lot of money for that area. Excuse me, it would have funneled that tax money for it being there, would have went into the city, it would have went to the schools.
Mhm.
But those students who are in that area, they're not going to have the best teachers because of what, like you said, with $40,000 for to be a teacher out there, you're not going to get the best teachers. You're going to get the teachers that somebody is the top of their class, somebody's the bottom of their class. I don't care if you're a doctor, a lawyer, somebody barely got out of there, and they might be going to places like that. And I think the problem with education, which goes back to something you said earlier with something else, but a lot of kids, school or education just doesn't happen in school. So
yeah.
you have parents that won't help their kids with the homework.
Mhm.
So when they get to school the next day, it's nothing you can do as a teacher. It's nothing that the principal can do or a counselor, or even if you say, "Oh, I think my child has a learning disability," they really don't. You're not helping. Parents, they don't have time to help them at home because they too busy making TikToks. And people like to believe some of this stuff. I remember, and Jay-Z said it, and it was one of the worst things ever when he said 30 was a new 20. Now everybody's running around 40 thinking they're 20, they're grandparents, but the grandkids can't read. And they're not trying to help them because they're trying to go on TikTok and take girls' trips or whatever. It's like nobody, the family has to help the child first.
Mhm.
And the teacher is like just reassuring, or they have to reassure with each other. But a lot of times we see it where the teacher is having a problem with the child, and then the parent takes the child's side, and that takes away from the child's education. Sometimes your child is wrong. Yeah, maybe your child is bad. Maybe your child needs help with this, and this, and your child is not the teacher's fault. So the teacher says, "Hey, I try to do this. He's standing up on the desk, disrupting the rest of the class." And the parent come up, "Well, my son can stand on the desk. He won't stand on the desk. That kind of stuff right there is ruining our education. So I don't care how much money you pump into it, it's never going to overcome that. And one kid doing that does distract everybody else, bullying and stuff like that keeps
Mhm.
people. And I remember myself um, being one of those kids. Like this is what it is. But when I was in ninth grade, I was in the classes with 12th graders, right? So by being in that class and being picked on by them 12th graders every day, I just went back to being in the class with ninth graders. I wanted to be transferred back because I couldn't deal with it. It was too much. They grown people, they 18 years old. I was like, when I got my license, I was 5'2" or 5'3" when I got my license. That's 10th grade. So ninth grade, I might have been 5'1", and these 6'8" people in there. That's one of those situations where it was like it stopped me from furthering myself in education just because of the situation. And they couldn't pay enough money to stop that from happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't see that as being like something that anybody can fix with people at home. It has to start at home, learning respect for people and people's differences and understanding and stuff like that, making, you know, independent. Like I said, where I was from, rough fights, people shooting. Is That's how school was. It's hard to just sit there and learn about the Pythagorean theorem when your friends are getting pulled out of class and getting cut up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think they can. A lot of that can't isn't going to change. You know, it's going to have to start with. It's going to have to be stuff that starts at home.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, and we know how that is ourselves in our industry. We'll see something going on that we don't like, and we constantly tell them, "Hey, this ain't right. This ain't right." Then somebody has an accident, kill somebody, then they say, "You know what? We need to check on that problem." Even though all of us been telling them it's a problem the whole time, it takes a tragedy sometimes to bring people together. So the when COVID happened, it really did bring us together. It changed the way we were. Everybody's at home together. And I don't know if y'all remember, but when DJ D Nice had that first Instagram live with all the celebrities and the president and everybody was on live. Like it was millions of people just watching his live stream playing music and stuff, and everybody was at home. It brought people together. Everything opened back up. Little Johnny standing on the desk again, his mom twerking on TikTok, everybody failing. But I had looked up something a while ago to see Halifax County, North Carolina, tops out at 62,000 for a teacher on a list, and I posted and I saw Alexandria, Virginia. You said they might have to go 2 or 3 states over there. Only got to go one. Alexandria, Virginia tops out at 160 for a teacher. You can
Well,
get
yeah.
$160,000,
160.
160 in Virginia, 62 in North Carolina.
See, that's what I'm.
What's
That's
the cost of living difference?
It ain't triple.
Yeah.
They're almost tripling your salary. It's not $100,000 difference. And I live in a good neighborhood. I guess I don't live in the city. I live 30 miles from work. I got a 1 bedroom, and I'm paying 1,800 a month. So I expect in Alexandria for this apartment in Alexandria, if it's 2,500 a month, it's not going to be that.
Yeah.
To make $100,000 more, and you paying $500 a month more.
Mhm.
Everybody needs to be in Alexandria trying to get every teach. They should have the best educated people in the world because what they paying right there is crazy. But Alexandria is like the city next to DC.
Right. Right. That's what I was gonna say.
It's right next to
There's a
DC.
lot of government stuff there.
Yeah.
But $160,000, I mean,
I bet.
remember we had a conversation before about the ski thing, and nobody could find anybody to take it.
Oh yeah,
What we talking about
Colorado.
that? In Colorado,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and we look at the cost of living, but I can't see it being triple what it is here for to make that kind of money and say you can't afford to live. Like I don't know anywhere in the country. I looked at apartments in New York and maybe $2,500, $2,800, something like that. But that's still, even if you add $2,000 a month more, that's only $24,000 a year more. And you're making $100,000 a year more, that still gives you $75,000
Yeah.
extra, you know? So I don't know. But $100,000 difference in North Carolina and Virginia and Alexandria, yes, and Halifax County, that's a big jump for 3 hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to actually have to live in Alexandria. I mean, a lot of people don't live in Alexandria. They work there. They work in
Hmm.
DC, but they live as far as Quantico.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They commute. They catch the train and or the bus or whatever, and they commute in.
There you
Uh,
go.
especially up in Maryland. A lot of people that work in DC and Washington, they live in the suburbs of Maryland. Well, Maryland got their infrastructure set up nice because they have parking rides where you can park your car and catch the train. You take the train on into the city, and then once you're in the city, you catch the bus to wherever. When you get done, get back on the train, ride out to the suburb, get out in your car, and then go on home.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's worth it. I mean, if you're really trying to make money, and you're in a profession, unless you're trying to give back to the community that you came from, I can't see somebody graduating from college and but teaching fellows. And I was just speaking about this the other day. Teaching fellows is a program that gives you money for school. But when you finish school, you have to teach in an impoverished area for like 3 years, and that's how you pay your school off. So another problem with education is you get teaching fellows going to these places like Halifax County. After that 3 years is up, they leave. Then you gotta have
Yeah.
to get a new teacher. After that 3 years, they leave, and it's a rotating door for people doing teaching fellows, and you never build like a relationship with the community as a teacher. But if that's your case, and you come and you go to the hood for 3 years and get your degree and get it paid for, and I'm gonna stick around here for a maximum of 62, or I can go to Alexandria and get 160. It's and Alexandria is just a place I saw because somebody mentioned it and I looked it up. But
right.
I'm sure a lot of these places, Manhattan is gonna be 200,000 or something, you know. But
Yeah.
North Carolina being so low,
Yeah, I mean,
education is low on the list.
you got to do what you got
It
to.
is low on the list.
Well, I like to hear some of our candidates talk about the actual issues that's going on. It's going to fix a lot of stuff because if you fix a lot of the small infrastructure stuff that we got going on, it'll take care of the rest of the stuff. But it's just like with the postal service; they're trying to take care of the outside of the postal service while the inside of the postal service is falling apart. And I mean, it's just imploding on itself. But you know, it's just sad that 2024 we don't have better candidates to choose from, younger candidates, more uh envisioned people that has vision. I mean, we have them in Congress. I know they had that big big to do when they got all those young women in there, and that's the first time all these women got in, and they're young and whatever, whatever. Well, we need more. We need more throughout because some of these people, when they do the Congress sessions, they're pushing them in wheelchairs. These people being pushed in wheelchairs, and I want them to even coherent of what's going on because usually somebody's with them whispering in their ear, whatever. But
Yep.
I don't know why people don't realize y'all got America, y'all got to wake up. And if y'all don't make the change, then nothing's going to happen. Y'all got to change what y'all doing because if you can rally men, and I done said this I don't know how many times, if you can rally men to storm the White House, then you can rally people to change America. I
Yeah.
mean, they got riled up enough that they stormed the White House over foolishness, really, because what they stormed the White House for wasn't legit. It was foolishness. So you mean to tell me if I tell you your kid uh is school is making these crazy decisions and they're getting ready to have a school board meeting on Wednesday, you're not going to storm down. They won't storm down to the school board meeting to make their voice heard, but you run up to DC to jump the wall. And so our whole priority system is messed up. We got to start prioritizing. Jamal, you said it on the head. It starts at home. It starts at home. We got kids out here that's disrespectful. They won't even speak to you. They're nasty and they think they're entitled to everything. It starts at home. And I think once you get home back in order, it'll work itself out and go from there. Because there's a video when you was talking about how parents come tell me about my kid want to jump. There's a video where the girl had got kicked off the bus for her behavior. So when they pulled her to the bus stop, soon as she opens the door, who jumps on the bus? The girl's parent, and starts going off on the bus driver about why'd you get my kid thrown off the bus, blah blah blah. You got kids back there with their phone filming this now. They getting into a confrontation. Her daughter standing outside the bus watching all of this. So she thinking all this is normal. But the bottom line was your daughter was wrong. Your daughter disrupted the bus and you're upset because now you have to drive her back. And that's I'm pretty sure that's what the bottom line is. I got to take you back and forth to school. So I'm mad. Not that you were wrong, not that you were corrected and held accountable for your behavior. Man, I got to take you back and forth to school. I'm furious. So now I'm gonna take it out on the bus driver.
Hmm.
I mean, this is the world that we live in now. But people better wake up. That's why we started this podcast. Real talk for real people because you listen to all this other stuff, they put all this fluff and berries and flowers and all this other stuff that has nothing to do with nothing. You need to talk about what's happening, what's going on. Because if not, ain't no telling we're gonna be like a third world country. We'll be like a Ghana or something. That's what we'll be. Because that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. My question is, we talk about uh people being like this, the culture being so hedonistic and just like immoral, and all of it is so normalized. Me personally, that's one reason why I'm glad my grandparents raised me. But like my values are different. Um, I never really fit in with people around my age. How did we get here though? You know, we could talk about the family structure. Um, this goes into it really goes into race and class as well. Um, when did the family start breaking down to where it got to the point to where, and this isn't even a black issue. It's a high percentage of American kids that don't live in a two-parent household.
Right. Right.
So how did we get here? None of these things happen in a vacuum. Now, I believe in people taking accountability, but we also have to, like, the government, you got to fund programs and give people resources because the most poverty stricken areas are the areas with the most crime.
Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna
So
tell you something funny about
how do
that.
we solve that?
I want to interject on that. So James mentioned earlier about the welfare thing. A lot of government programs benefit single mothers,
Right.
housing
No,
programs.
absolutely. But that's what I was getting at.
Hmm.
But then you got to remember too, those programs is what keeps some single mothers on it because um, you have to be destituted pretty much.
Right.
So you get a young woman that says, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want to do better. So I'm gonna go out here and try to get on my feet. Well, that's gonna take a minute. So if she makes a penny over the limit of whatever you're not supposed to make, and they cut her off. Well, she's not at the limit or at the stage that she needs to be at to support her family. She can use this assistance just a little bit longer to get to that next level. Then she can cut it off and go on about her business. But they don't have it where you can do that. It's like if you make one penny over, you're done. They take everything away from you. And now you back where you were before, struggling, trying to support your family. And so, do I want to go through that? Or just stay where I'm at. And most of them make that decision to stay where they're at,
Yeah.
which in turns goes back to what you're saying. Where did it all start? Well, that's some of it. Go ahead.
Well, the other part of that is if you have housing and stuff like that, if they are married, they can't get housing. So a
Yeah.
lot of family structures are broken up because there's no programs for families. All the programs that are out there are for situations that are what they deem as being broken. And so it's more beneficial for a lot of people to not have a family structure because it's economically it makes more sense. They get
Yeah.
more money, get if you got Section 8 and stuff like that, if you have a man in certain situations, you have a man in the house, you can't get it. A man
Right.
being in the house changes a lot of programs. And so some of those, if they would change that so that you could be married and still get some help, excuse me, and this and this, because a lot of people choose that over the man, over the family.
Right. And like I don't want a handout. I'm against handout. Don't give people free money. That does absolutely nothing. Give them like actually educate them. Give them actual education, you
Yes,
know?
that's what
Like
it is.
give them skills. If you gave if they started today free healthcare and free schooling. It might take a few generations, but I guarantee you there'll be a lot less people in poverty. It's not gonna happen in some people it'll happen in a generation. But a few generations down the line and you'll have most of the country would have skills.
Depends on the education, because I know a lot of educated people that are impoverished.
I don't mean the education or how we teach it now. I mean actual like teaching people not just the history we made up. Teach them actual history, teach them psychology, teach them about themselves. Teach them about economics, teach them about capitalism, but not just don't teach them a one-sided. Teach them all
Teach them
of it.
everything. Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
Yep.
to get to that point, you gotta have people that are willing to, first of all, tell the truth.
right. You
Because
do.
you're just gonna teach a bunch of lies when you know where we are. And those people who control that do not want people that are poor to come up. And they are the ones that choose to teach the lie.
Mm.
Those are the ones that put money into the school system, like the Koch brothers.
They also the ones that put money into the prison system.
Right.
And they need prisoners to keep that money coming in. And so
That's
they
why.
need uneducated people to fill the prison.
Exactly. I know.
That's
And
the
it all goes back to politics and it all goes back to economics. When you have a system that only cares about profit maximization,
The
people
1%.
people are commodities. It don't matter. They're no more human beings. It's how much money can I make off this one person?
Yep.
But how disconnected do you have to be from your own humanity to look at another individual like that? Because a lot of times when you look at these people's backgrounds, and it's kind of the same for Trump supporters. It's like what kind of person will support an authoritarian And you look at these people's backgrounds, their home lives, they came from terrible home lives. Their fathers were abusive, their stepfathers were abusive, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it's the greed, money, sin, your morals, character, all that stuff. It's not being taught. All you see is how can I knock down, like you said, how can I take advantage of you? How can I knock down this person? What can I do to step over you to get to the next level? That's what's being taught. That's what the world's based on now. Um, Case in point, what's the guy that runs Amazon?
Jeff
Bales?
Bezos.
Yeah. Now, the money he makes in an hour is unreal. That's, I mean, the money he makes with Amazon, I give him credit. He took something that was just a Kindle book and made it into this $1 trillion industry. Um, I give him credit, but how much good he could do for the world. I mean, you would think that as much money as he make, that he would have a whole lot of humanity programs around that would help, like you said, help uplift the poor, educate the poor, um, go in some of these inner cities where they don't let them just tear up themselves. You drive through some of these inner cities, abandoned buildings. He can go in there and build these communities up, open up businesses, put people into businesses and stuff. He can do so much, but do you think he's thinking about that? Nope. Now, if he has any programs like that, I've never heard of them, so I can't say. But I was just thinking about all that money that he funnels through his company. He won't even pay his employees a decent wage. They got
A
the
livable wage.
Yeah, I mean, so that just tells you right there. If you're not even willing to do that, I know you don't have no programs out there that's helping the poor, helping the homeless, helping hungry, feed the children. None of that, because he can adopt a whole state and feed every school um, forever. Free lunch program and he never miss it, never miss it. That's like uh, $20 to us is, to him is like, or to him, if we missing $20, we having a fit. But him, that $20 now multiplied to $2 million. He'll never miss it. Never.
No, right. Also, speaking of uh, rich people not paying their taxes, I also wrote down a figure that Trump said they took corporate tax from 39% to 21%. Um, that's how the programs for the New Deal were funded. They taxed billion. Well, I don't know if they didn't have billionaires back then, but they taxed rich people at a higher rate, and they took the money and they got. That's how we got Social Security and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same thing that some politicians are trying to do. Bernie Sanders being one of them. He wants to tax them at a higher rate, take the money, put it back into society, the community. And Trump, he kept citing Reagan, which, if you follow politics or policy, you know what his policies did. They hurt regular everyday people more than anybody else. Um, he talks like he believes in trickle down economics.
Hmm.
We
I don't
lower.
think any of them believe in trickle down economics.
Oh, well, no, I don't think they believe in it, but that's how they sell it to us. They know exactly what they're doing. It's not a secret. But that's also one of the purpose of this podcast is like there's so much manipulation that goes on in the politics and society and media that if you don't do your own research and you really have to do some digging, you don't see it. Everything is normal.
It is. It is. Well, I don't know. All we do is say a prayer because we're not going in a good direction. It's just getting worse. And the more you keep people um down, keep them impoverished, the more you take away opportunities, the more I mean, I mean, you got people that's just they're desperate.
Yeah.
They're desperate, and when people get desperate, they do desperate things.
They'll run to a figure like Donald Trump when you don't have somebody on the other side actually telling them the truth.
Their desperation is a little different.
Yeah.
They see the country that they love and they grew up in and all that leaving, and that's
Yeah.
what made them desperate enough to run to him.
Right.
But we don't have anything really to compare it to. We don't have that kind of desperation because
Well,
it's never been our country for somebody to take from. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
So that and people like him, they play on that desperation while they keep telling, you know, poor white people, working white people that while they're picking their pockets, they're telling them that it's the immigrants coming over here stealing jobs. You
yeah,
know, it's poor black people. It's Reagan and his whole welfare queen thing when the lady who they based it off of wasn't even black.
hmm
She wasn't a black lady. And so they understand that and they scapegoat all, everybody, anybody who's not a white male for the most part. Feminists, white women,
mhm.
white feminist women, whatever, black people, brown people, it don't matter. And it's sad that I mean, not all of them may believe it, or, but at this point, I feel like enough information has come out that a lot of people are just choosing ignorance and hate at this point.
Yeah, they do it. They're choosing that because they can't have a clear understanding of what's going on because if they did, why wouldn't you want somebody else to have the same opportunities that you have? You know what I'm saying? Why would
Yeah,
you not, why would you want why would you not want somebody to live at the same standard that you live in? Why would
because
that be so hard?
it's a zero. They look at it as a zero sums game. I'm losing. If somebody gets this, then I lose something. You don't lose
yep.
nothing. Everybody is elevated to a higher position. Everybody.
And I think that's the way everybody should look at it. You know, when they come up with these crazy bills, is this bill going to cover the majority of the people and help uplift them? And that should be the focus. How can we uplift everybody? Everybody needs to be uplifted. I ain't saying everybody's going to be billionaires, but we talking about just your standard of living.
Yeah,
Everybody should have a a good quality standard of living, and whatever that takes. And until they realize there's a lot of stuff that they got in place that they need to do away with in order for us to have. Case in point, when they had regulations for the banks and all that back in the day, everything was fine. Soon as that uh, president got in and deregulated everything, the trucking industry and all that, everything went south. And now look at what you got. Um, I think a lot of people say, but we don't want government. Well, you know what? Maybe the government needs to do get in some stuff because when a company goes rogue and just starts charging all kind of fees and all this other stuff just because he's just greedy, then maybe he needs to be regulated. You know what I'm saying? Because
or
he's hurt.
dumping.
Huh?
Sorry, I was going to say, or dumping waste in the daggone drinking river. The river they drink out of, because that
Right.
has happened too.
Right. There you go. So if these people are doing, why would you not regulate them? Because they're not helping the country. They're not benefiting the country. They're hurting the country. So why would you not regulate them? Because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And so if they're hurting something that's hurting everybody, why would you not regulate them? Because I shouldn't have to regulate you. But if you're out of control, then you need to be regulated because you're hurting America. You
Yeah.
causing you causing people harm. You causing people strife. You causing people to be disfranchised, and it's not fair. And I'm talking about for everybody. I don't care if you Chinese, Mexican. I don't care what you are. We all
Right.
should have the same opportunities and a chance of a good life. That's what they used to preach back in the day. What was they talking about the house with the picket fence
Oh yeah.
White picket fence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 2.5 kids and all this. The American Dream. That's it. They
Yeah.
was pumping the American Dream. That was right after, I think, the Vietnam War, when they was coming back because they were building these
World War II.
communities. Yeah, there you
Mhm.
go. And they was talking about they were trying to pump up America, telling about you can have the American Dream and the mother at the house that Leave It to Beaver type family and all this other stuff. Well, that ain't possible now. It really wasn't possible back then. It ain't possible now. So if you really want that, you're gonna have to change some stuff, America, because right now there is no American dream. It's American tragedy. That's what you
Yeah.
got.
Yeah.
Hey, look, let me ask y'all a question right quick. Have y'all heard of something? And I got to get some more information. But supposedly, the guy that's leading the Heritage Foundation that the Koch brothers started, apparently, they've gotten with Trump's organization. There's something out there, and y'all see if y'all can find it too, because I want us to come back and talk about it. But there's some plan that this dude done worked out with Trump, and it's called like the 170 plan, 70 plan, some plan that they got out. Man, this lady was talking about it. I said, I got to look it up because if Trump gets in and enacts all this stuff, America's gonna be hurting.
Was that the one where she was talking about they were defunding education and a bunch of other stuff?
That's it.
It's Project 2025.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Project 2025. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Man,
But that plan is, even if Trump doesn't win, they're going to enact it in the next Republican president.
well, I tell you what, brothers, let's do some research on that. So when we come back together, let's talk about that because that stuff that lady was running down, I'm like, there's no way he can pass that stuff. There's no way. If he
Yeah.
gets that stuff passed, we in trouble.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but the thing is, we were talking about welfare earlier, and 46% of welfare recipients are white people.
Yeah.
So the thing is, convince the poorest white man that he's better than the richest black man. And that is how you get those people that vote for Trump and support those people. And the people in the top 1% are the ones that fund all this to keep themselves in the 1%. And that they people will vote against everything they even believe in their self just to keep Trump in office for the idea that they will achieve the American dream because they've been told that we're the ones keeping them from the American dream. Because that
Right.
American dream was not for black people. It
No.
was not for brown people. It was not for it was for when you think about it, it's a blonde hair guy or a brown hair guy, blonde hair girl. She got on a dress with an apron. They got a golden retriever. Like it's all perfect. And it was not a black person in the picture. It wasn't one in the neighborhood in the city,
Nope.
and that was still during a time where it was still segregated schools and stuff. So a lot of times when they talk about making America great again,
Mhm.
is those times that was promised to them after World War II. But those times did not have minorities of any sort in mind. So um, what really needs to change is what the American dream is. That needs to be defined. We need to redefine that.
Yeah.
And I think I think you can get other people from other cultures because the keystone of it is the poor white people. That's really the keystone to everything. When the poor white people realize that they're the ones getting tricked, then America will change. But until they realize that, there's nothing we can do. That's one of those things where I was trying to explain to somebody. You get people that are like extreme pro-black,
Mhm.
and they said, "Oh, I don't need a white person to do anything for me." But sometimes you can't represent yourself enough to someone who won't listen to you, and you need that liaison. And the poor white person has more in common than the black person, a poor black person, than they do with the 1% person because of the color of their skin. But that 1% person sitting in their $1 trillion house,
Mhm.
sees that poor white person the same way he sees a poor black person, and they see him as a dollar sign, a stepping stone to get where they need to go, a pawn. And those are the people, because it's hard. I see a lot of people, they say, being in politics is this and this, and they got good intentions. And when they get there, somebody's throwing them some money.
Yeah.
And you see the average or the salary for the job is like $300,000, and then this politician made 70 million last year. And you think on a $300,000 job, he made 70 million. That's crazy. When he was making $40,000 a year, the teacher in Halifax County, now he's making $30 million a year on a $300,000 job. Something's not right. But
Yeah,
those people are saying, "Hey, it's worth my $30 million to make you pass this bill to
Mhm.
keep the poor people poor."
yep,
And that's one of those things like you it it's going to take people realizing that those people don't represent them, but it's not us. We know they don't represent them,
right.
and that's the crazy thing about it. What they say, like preach it to the choir.
Mhm.
We all know it, and we all think we're doing what we want to do, protest when something's wrong, but we can't protest enough to make people care about it. We can't
Absolutely.
do this enough to make people care about it. They have to do it. They have to do it with us. They
Right.
have to be out there and say, you know what, we're not represented either. And then the American dream can change, and whatever that is, all of us can achieve it. But we
Mhm.
need those people. That 46% that's still getting all the welfare, they also vote for a man trying to take welfare away.
Mhm.
And I don't know why they do it, but they continue to do it.
Well,
Yeah,
they need to take race and color out of it. They need to realize that we're all the same. We just different melatonin colors. That's all. They
But see, that's what we'll say because we're willing to do it, but they're not. They aren't willing to do it.
okay.
So it's
Well,
going to take them to give theirs up before
I,
they ask us to give ours up.
okay. Well, we keep preaching to them then because I would think by now, some of them should realize that's what it is because even doing uh not well even slavery, but when we back in the South and all they was doing, the 1% was running everything, making
yeah,
the poor white folks do the dirty work, making them think that they was on the same level as them,
Yep.
got them convinced that we're the problems, which in turn caused them to do the things that they did to black folks back there doing
Like Jim Crow and all
and all
that.
that. Yeah. And I would think by now they realize, okay, poor white man, poor white woman, you're not on their level. They keep making you think they are, and they feed you all that mess. But who's down here struggling?
right
Who's down
beside
here?
each other.
Yep. Who's down here trying to figure out how to pay the bills? Who's
But
down here trying to do all that?
they're struggling because we're taking their jobs and Mexicans are taking their jobs.
Yeah.
That's why they're struggling. In their mind, they keep believing that I haven't become a billionaire yet because black guys are taking my job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
Well,
you
go
did
ahead.
you watch did you watch that video on Bacon's Rebellion I sent you, James?
No, I ain't had a chance to watch it yet.
It touches on exactly what we talk about. It touches on exactly when the racial divide came between white and black working people because they worked right beside each other up until a certain point.
Hmm.
But I sent it in our group chat, but it touches on the history about that, the events that led up to it and everything. And they said from they said I'm gonna try to tell you a snippet of it. They had to figure out a way to keep white and black working people away from each other because they got together and started protesting against the wealthy people.
Mm.
And so they passed some kind of law. Oh, they passed some legislation where they made it like illegal. It was already illegal to marry and mix. It was frowned upon, but it wasn't like illegal in the law. So they made it illegal, and then they introduced some idea that white people are inherently better. So they went from working with each other to a few generations down the line that white people were thinking that they were superior. They were better.
I've never heard of that.
Bacon's Rebellion. Look it up. Well, I sent it in the thing. Look it up.
Yeah, he sent in the chat. I had
Some
to
of the
listen to that.
some of the podcasts I listen to a lot of political podcasts, man, and like they touch on they touch on actual or like working history. I mean, they go back to the New Deal when the labor union leaders were all socialists and communists. I mean, I know that's a bad word in America, but even when you go to other European countries, they still have socialist and communist parties. It's not just capitalism. Um, it didn't. So I had to go find it. It didn't. You know, sometimes you'll send a link and it'll show like the video of it. It just says YouTube link. That's it. It just says YouTube. Uh, hold on.
I googled it, so I got some information on it. I'm gonna check out
Okay.
a little bit later on. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting to me too, man.
Well, like you said, if people ain't willing to investigate and find out for themselves. I mean, people give information, and that's fine and dandy, but sometimes you need to know for yourself. And so we need people that's listening to this. You know, we talked a lot about a lot of stuff, but if you got questions about something, then go find out for yourself. If you don't think I'm right, if you don't think we're right about what we're talking, then guess what? Google is out there. You can find out for yourself if we're right or not. If you think we're full of it, you can find out. But don't just discard what we're saying, that we're just some angry black men on a thing talking about some crazy stuff. Because like I said when we started this, I said this is not a platform that we are just talking about people and bashing them. We're trying to get out information and we're trying to let people realize there's a better way. And that you've been lied to all these years about a bunch of stuff that y'all think that's legit and it's not. And so you need to go find out for yourself because it's going to take you, the American public, to make the change. Because if y'all don't get up off your butts and start getting involved in some of this stuff and get these people to change stuff, it's not going to change because the people that's above us don't want it to change. That's why they freak out when you start doing stuff. Then they feed you some kibits. They feed you some little kibits to keep you quiet. When you start uprising, when you start questioning stuff, oh, what we gonna do? Huh? Throw 'em some kibits. Throw 'em what they want. Or they want. We can give them this. We give them this. We give them this. Just to keep you quiet. And once you go back to your homes, all happy, thinking you don't won something, you ain't won nothing. And they go back to going back to doing the same thing. And then within a year, you're wondering why we back in the same situation. Because y'all keep believing them people up there. They're not for you. They don't care about you. Ain't all of them, but the majority of them up there are not for you. They want you to stay poor. They want you to stay ignorant, and they want you to stay uneducated. That's why they do what they do. So start researching and looking for yourself.
Yep.
So, wow. Anybody got anything else? Because we've been on for a while. It's time to call it quits.
It is.
Quentin, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I ain't got nothing.
What about you, my brother Jamal?
No, sir. No, sir.
All right. This has been a good conversation. I hope that y'all get something out of it. I hope that y'all take to heart what we said and research and find out for yourself. And like I said, you can hit us up. Really would like you to go on to YouTube, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and join. And we have a community page. You can leave a comment, question, or concerns on there that we can take a look at. And but please like, share, leave a review of this podcast. Again, like it would help us. And we look forward to more conversation like this. So Mr. Quentin, Mr. Jamal, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
No problem. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for inviting.
All right, my brothers. Well, that's it for this episode of Truth to Freedom. Real talk for real people. We hope you enjoyed. And again, like I said, please like, share, leave a review. Until the next time, this is James Parker, and we will see you next time. God bless.